seen how to create a registration form. In this video we are going to see how to give login and how to create login and logout pages. So first let's see the output of the previous video. So in my terminal I have entered into the virtual environment my env and type python manage.py run server. So go to this link. So it's already there here, so you can just type this. So this is the output which we have. So if we go to the admin panel, so this is our admin panel. So here we have a number of users. So first let us create a new user and see the output. So let's get into the registration page. So register, and let me create a new user. I'm giving a dummy email ID, and the password should contain numbers and numerals, so I'm giving a bigger password here and submit it. So a user has been created. So let's go to the admin panel and check for that user. So this is what is the new user which I have created, and so in the admin panel we can see all the users. So let us now see how do we create individual pages for each users. So to do that, so let's first go to our code and let's create a few new URLs. So let's add the login and logout path. So let me just copy this and paste it here. So I want something for login, so also here login, and I will be having a method called as login page in views. So in the same way I will also have one for logout. So change this to logout, and also the views method to logout. So once we have done this, we can just save this file, and now we have to create both these methods, login page and logout page, in the views. So go to views.py, and now let's create a method called as login page. So def login page, and request as the method, and here we will be creating so we will be rendering into a login.html page. So let me complete that and then get back and fill this method. So we know request should be the default arguments which should be returned, and I will mention something like login.html is what I am going to render once this method is done, and I'll be sending a context dictionary. So I need to give this empty dictionary. So first let me complete the HTML file and then get back and complete this method. So let's save this. So go to templates, right click and create a new file, call it as login.html, and here so our job is to create a form so that we access the username and password and then verify it with our database. So let me create a form here. So HTML form, so you can change it here to HTML so that it suggests you automatically. So now form, yeah. So within this form give the method as post and action as null. And within this we need to access two inputs. One is username input and name of the variable will be username. This is what we use to access in our method login page method. So let's close this and copy the same and paste it here. Now call this as password and our name as password. And usually if you keep this as text, it will be visible. If you keep it as password, it will not be visible. So let's see how it goes. And also we know we have to include CSRF token, CSRF underscore token. So save it. So once we have saved this, so we got the both username and password, and now we can include a closing button. So input type is equal to submit, name is equal to login. So close this and this completes the form. So let's see what happens. So we have created a simple login.html form. So when URL calls this login page, towards the end it will render login.html page. So whatever we get from the login.html page should be accessed and should be compared with the existing database or the existing user accounts. So let's see how we can do it. So if we will call the method request.method is equal to, if it is post, so we need to have double equal to here, then access the username. As if you remember, we have given username as the name. So request dot post dot get. So this username, this name should be similar to what we have given here, username. So we can use a different name here also. You can say simply as un also. So request dot post dot get username and password is equal to, so it is exactly similar here, mention it as password. So once we got both username and password, so we need to verify with the database. So what we have, so we have something called as Authenticate. So Django provides this very interesting methods to actually verify. So it simplifies a lot. So we will be utilizing this facility. So let me just import that. So from django.contrib.auth import authenticate. Authenticate is one method, and login and logout. So this we will be using to verify whether a user has been whether to authenticate and also verify username and password. So there are some errors. So from django.contrib.auth. So that's it. Now you can go here. So we have to create this logout page also, that we'll do it soon. So now let me use this authenticate. So user, I'll call this as user authenticate and give request as the first argument and just pass both username and password. So this username is similar to what you have given here, and also the same way password is equal to password. This password what we are giving is coming from here. So we have passed both username, password to the authenticate. So now we have to verify if user is not none, which means if there is a user, then what should we do? So invoke this login method which just now we have imported, right? So login request comma user and return redirect. You can redirect to either home or anywhere. So if the user exists, this is what it is supposed to do, and if the user does not exist, we will see how it would be handled. We use messages to display that username or password is incorrect. That we'll do a little later. First let's see the output of how this would be. So since it throws an error, let me also create a logout page. So just let me copy this. So here logout page, because we have created URLs for both login and logout pages, if you remember. So we should have a method here. So in logout page, once again we use the logout which we have imported, and we return here. So we just need to redirect it to login page. Once it has been got logged out, it has to be redirected to the login page. So this is what should be the thing. So let's see how it works. So let's go to the URL. So you can just remove this. So this is what we have, but we haven't created anywhere any buttons. That we'll do it a little later. So now let me call this method called as login. So you can see here it is asking for username and password. So we already have a username, so let me just so now I have logged in. Okay, so I have to create right buttons to log in and log out, so that we can appropriately log out and execute the task. So that will be done now. So we will be using what is called as decorators. So let us see how we can do that. So first we need to import the library. So from django.contrib.auth.decorators, so we need to import login underscore required. So save it, and so these decorators are placed upon every function, so that it makes sure that only if a person log in, if only if a user got login access, he will be able to open these pages. So let's place each of those decorators on every method. So login underscore required, so this is a decorator. So this is how we mention login underscore URL is equal to login. First making a home as the default page. So this is the default link, and we are directing it to the home method, and we brought in login, logout and register to the top. So and so we have included the decorators. We have imported the login underscore required decorator, and that decorator has been placed upon the home method. So there are a few more changes which we need to do. So by default, whenever it is directed to the login page, if the user is authenticated, he should be the user should be allowed to access the other pages. So to test it, we need to include this if condition. So if request dot user dot is authenticated, then return and redirect it to the home page. So only under such cases it is directed to home page. If it is not, then we have to include all this part. So let me just press a tab, so it is under this else statement. So when it directs to the login page, if the user is authenticated, it will go to the home page. If user is not authenticated, it will go into this else statement and retrieves the username and password and performs accordingly. So let us see what happens now. Let's run this. And also one more change we have done here. So if you go to the home.html, so we have to place logout instead of login. So these are the few things which we were doing wrong earlier. So let's run this now. So let us go to this link. So currently it's given access. So let me log out and see it. So there is a spelling mistake. So is authenticated, save it and go back and run it. So we have got to the login page. So you can just play with the registration and login page. So once you are into the login page, you can enter the username and password and submit. So now you have logged in, so you have entered here. So log out. So when you log out, it came to the login page automatically. It did not go to the home page because once you log out, you are not authenticated, therefore you have not been directed to the home page. So only if you but let's see whether we are able to access the home page. See, as you can see here, now if I click home page, I am not able to access this because my user is not authenticated. Only if the user, so for example, let me log in and now the user is authenticated. So now I'm having the access, but once I log out, user has not got authenticated. So even if I click this home default page, I'm not able to get the access. So this is one thing. So that's the idea of placing these decorators above this method. So I can't access the home method, but if you see, I can access the other methods because I haven't placed the dash decorated on other methods. So let me just show it to you. So dashboard, if I click, I'm able to access the dashboard, but I don't want to give that privilege of accessing other pages when he is not logged in. So I have to place the decorators on each of these methods. So just copy this and place on every method, so that every method would be restricted, and only if the user is logged in, he will be able to access each of those pages. Otherwise the access is not allowed. So just place this decorator, so that there is no need of decorator on the login page and also on the logout page. So I think not needed in the registration page also. So save it. So once you saved it, now you can go back and you can just click. As you can see, since you have logged out, you can't access the dashboard page. So once you log in, you have the access for all the pages, including the dashboard page or even the products page. Everything is accessible. So but once you log out and you press this dashboard, we don't have an access. Any of the pages we don't have access. Even the products page we don't have access. So this is what the decorator does, and this is what we actually need it. Only if the user is authenticated, we want to give the access to the other pages. So this is about login creation and logout. But there is one problem with this. For example, I have I've logged in and I've accessed this page and this page, and now for say I'm logging out. But if I click the back button, I'm still able to access this home page, or click one more back button, I'm able to access this thing. So to avoid this, to remove this, we need to add one more decorator. There are multiple ways. Using middlewares also we can do it, but the approach which is followed here is add one more decorator. So let's place that so that we avoid this problem. So in order to get that feature, so we can go to from Django dot views dot decorators dot cache, import cache underscore control. So this has to be imported, save it, and also this has to be appended in the top. So at the rate of cache underscore control, no underscore cache is equal to true, and must underscore revalidate is equal to true, and no underscore store is equal to true. So these are the three things which we need to give as an argument. So now place this decorator everywhere on each of those methods. So let's first test with the home page, and then we will come back to other pages. So let me go to home, and so as you can see now we have logged out, so you can't access this. But once I log in, and I got logged in, and now I'm logging out. After logging out, let me just try to press a back button for the home page. You can see even if I press the back button for home page, I'm not able to get it. But if I press one more or for the dashboard, I'm able to access, which means I should place the second decorator upon the dashboard method also. So let us do that. So let me copy this thing and place it upon every method. So there are other easier ways also to do it using middleware, but that is not explored here. So let me copy these two because this is skipped earlier. So okay, we thought not to have this for register page and login page, and for logout page we need it. So copy this and place it below the logout page, save it, and now you can go back, and this is your login page. So you can enter login, dashboard, you can access every page, go to home page, log out. Once you're log out, so even if I press this, I can't. Even if I press the dashboard one, it is still directing you to the login page. So there are few things which you need to include. Suppose if the password is not entered properly, if it contains only numbers, it should throw out a message stating that password is not proper. So in order to do that, we'll be using something called as messages. So let us see how we can do that. So if you go here and import a library called as messages from Django dot contrib import messages. So this messages has to be placed. We can place it at multiple locations. For example, we can even place it user. For example, if any user has entered some wrong username, if the user is not available, you can throw out a message stating that there are various methods: messages dot success, messages dot info. I'm using here messages dot success. So request call, I can enter the message stating that username or password is incorrect. So let's see whether it works or not. So this is during the login page, if the username or password is entered wrong. So let's go back and enter the login. So for example, this is my, so I'll enter deliberately a wrong password, and let's see what happens. So it has not got logged in, but it also did not throw the error. So what happened is, when you, so okay, we haven't included this message in the login page. So we should go to login page, login.html, and place whatever messages it is throwing. It has to be placed it here. So let's just run a for loop here for message in messages, and so copy all message, print all messages, whatever it is throwing, just print as this messages. So we are using a paragraph tags here. So also, and you can close the for loop here. So now let's see what happens. So let me put a user and say I'll use some wrong password, and if I press submit, you can see this responses, but this is not what we expected. So this is what we got. So if I enter the wrong username and password, and if I submit, I got this. If I enter the right username and password, I'll be able to access the page. So once I log out, once again I'll show it. So I'm deliberately giving a wrong password and enter. So username or password is incorrect. This is what we need it whenever a user enters a wrong username and password. So in the same way, during the registration also, if the password is not following the rules, we can place some throw some messages. So let's go to register. So let's go to the views. In registered page, here we can throw some more messages. So let's, so else, so if everything is fine, you will be directed to home page, but if it is not, so you'll be, so actually we should send it to the login page, not the home page, because once the registration is done, he has to log in to get access to the home page. So if he hasn't entered something properly, that's when this message will come into picture. So success, request as the argument, and we can say that, say password does not follow the rules, so we throwing some messages, and let's access the same message. So I'll just copy what I have written here so that I can paste it in register.html also, and save it, and let's run this. So after this, so we can also save the views.py and go back to the page and go to registration page. So let me see what happens. So I'll register with a new ID, say this, and say I'll deliberately enter some simple password here and see what happens. So password does not follow the rules. So this is what we thought of sending as a message if the user does not enter the password following the rules mentioned. So this is the feature about why we use this messages library. And yeah, that's it. So we are successfully able to register, log in and log out, and also make sure that user does not get access to pages when he is not logged in, and also throw out messages whenever he enters a wrong password or when the registration is not done properly. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.